Outside Orthodox Jewish synagogues and million-dollar mansions along the Jersey Shore.
This was the biggest roundup of corruption in New Jersey state history. That is saying something.
Graft is nothing new in the Garden State.
There literally have been more than 100, perhaps approaching 200 arrests in just the last few years out in New Jersey, where politicians and municipal officials have been caught taking bribes, and almost all of them have been convicted.
At 6 a.m., the go-ahead is broadcast from FBI Central Command in Newark.
Newark CP to all teams. Execute, execute, execute.
And like a well-choreographed dance, arrest teams start knocking on doors. Acting U.S. Attorney Ralph Mehra, a 25-year veteran prosecutor, waits anxiously for news from the field.
We're waiting to hear reports on how they did. Did they make the arrests? Were there any problems? What did they find in evidence?
This is NJ Team 3. Subject is in custody.
In all, the teams arrest 44 people, and one by one, they parade past a swelling sea of reporters into the FBI's Newark headquarters for processing. WNBC's Jonathan Dienst is the first television reporter on the scene.
But they literally are carting the suspects away by the busload here.
We had a sense that this was going to be a big case. We did not know the details. But then when you started seeing just the sheer volume of car after car pulling up in front of the FBI's offices in New Jersey, that was when it really hit me that, my goodness, this is going to be huge.
We saw rabbis being walked in with yarmulkes on and politicians coming in. We saw political operatives being walked in. There was a deputy mayor of Jersey City, who we later found out was a former stripper back in the days of burlesque. The characters themselves made it surreal.
And as the criminal complaints are made public, they lift the veil on systemic corruption, brazen even by New Jersey standards.
The initial complaints as they first came out alleged massive bribery of ranking politicians, along with money laundering of incredible amounts associated with ultra-Orthodox community leaders, rabbinic figures. And then what stunned everybody was an illegal kidney brokering scheme that had been uncovered.
Says one of Dweck's early money laundering targets is an Orthodox real estate developer.
Amusingly, his office was over a laundromat, and he often referred to what he was doing, he related it to washing machines.
Those washing machines are a complex international network of religious charities, rabbis, and couriers.
At the start, when Dweck was trying to launder only $35,000 or $40,000, the rabbis didn't want any of that action. It was too small for them. They were putting themselves out. They needed bigger dollar figures. We're talking about transactions that were easily $80,000 at a pop, $100,000, $200,000.
One launderer introduces Dweck to another, and soon Dweck's network grows to more than 15 people, including 5 Orthodox rabbis.
It was a group of organized criminals, and they had a whole system in place on how they did that.
Is Rabbi Mordecai Fish, one of Dweck's most productive launderers.
Fish is a fascinating character. He leaves messages but doesn't actually leave messages. He gets on the phone and starts singing on Dweck's voicemail.
Shalom Aleichem, Bokeh Tov, Shalom Aleichem. Hi.
He spoke in code. He wouldn't identify other people by name. I mean, all the trappings that would go with somebody who's in an organized criminal enterprise but is very shrewd, almost to the point of paranoia about becoming detected.
Money as a Gemara. The Gemara is the part of the Talmud.
I need the names on the Gemaras.
You have to have all the words on the spot?
Yeah, everything there. So make some miracles happen. Call me back with the names and I'll see you then, by your place.
Dweck quickly becomes one of Fish's best customers, washing $585,000 and receiving the cash in boxes of Apple Jack cereal. And though the money laundering investigation is paying off, by the end of 2007, Dweck slices into a whole new part of the investigation.
In one meeting that the feds described to us in great depth, they turn to Christie with smiles on their faces and they say, "We have somebody who's selling illegal kidneys."
That person is Levi Itzhak Rosenbaum, a real estate broker from Brooklyn who sells the parts for $150,000 apiece.
This is another rock that we turn over, and it turns out there's all this slime underneath it. The circumstances of grabbing some impoverished person and bringing them over here and grabbing one of their kidneys for maybe $10,000 and then turning around selling it for $120,000, $150,000. Not good circumstances.
Dweck needs no introduction, as his own grandfather had purchased a kidney through Rosenbaum. So Dweck reaches out to the broker with the line that he needs a kidney for his secretary's uncle. 9 months later, Rosenbaum finds a donor, and in November 2008, the feds realize the investigation could take a perilous turn.
We obviously didn't want it to go past a certain point, past the point when somebody was being cut open. Dweck had arranged various excuses to put off actually bringing the person over to do the deed.
You know, one thing after the next with this guy. First he's sick, then he gets a virus, then he's in the hospital, now he has a mini stroke. I don't know what to tell you, it's crazy. So, these things are never simple, right?
I would like to meet this guy once.
Okay, we'll set something up. I guess these people, once something goes wrong with them, everything happens. One thing after the next. It's crazy. It's like my grandfather, the same story. Every week something else.
When the teams finally get the go-ahead, they spring into action, arresting 44 people.
When these arrests happened, they were coming in by the carload. When they left the FBI office, they were leaving by the busload.
74-year-old Leona Baldini is the first defendant to be tried. She's convicted of taking $20,000 in illicit contributions. She's sentenced to 3 years in prison and a $30,000 fine.
The judge pointed out that she had any number of opportunities to say no, to think twice about it, to do her due diligence, and at no point did she ever do it.
Kidney broker Levi Itzhak Rosenbaum pleads guilty to human organ trafficking charges. He is sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. In all, the money launderers wash more than $3 million for Solomon Dweck. And Rabbi Mordecai Fish pleads guilty to laundering nearly $1 million and is sentenced to 46 months in prison.
The level of corruption among religious leaders is something that was remarkable to see. A systematic scheme to launder thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, to have codes and processes set up and cash counters and cash couriers and secret channels. It strikes me that it's a corruption of leadership. And we're used to corruption of leadership among our political leaders, but it's worse on a lot of levels when you see it in the religious leadership.